Good evening, everybody. Welcome to First Center for Spiritual Living. First Church of Religious Science is what our real name is. We're here in New York City. We're broadcasting in the Upper West Side. And I want to welcome everybody who's here on Zoom and all of you who watch us on YouTube and Instagram and any of our platforms. We have, again, another 150 people who have signed up this week, so we're very appreciative of the growth and your comments, all your positive comments. Tonight I'm going to talk about using our power, learning how to do affirmative prayer in our Louise Hay class. If you're really new and you don't know who we are, again, our formal name is First Church of Religious Science. We're a New Thought community. We're here in the Upper West Side of New York, and you're always happy to come in here and be in person with us or join us on Zoom. We have a time afterwards where you can personally share. We try to get to as many people as we can. So just, I hope you tune in and enjoy us. We meet on Wednesday nights for our Creative Living series. Our Louise Hay class is tonight. Louise Hay, incidentally, was a student of our center, and the work we do on Thursdays is usually found in this book, which is the book she wrote, You Can Heal Your Life, which was an international bestseller. So let me get into the lesson. Tonight's lesson is unlock your confidence. Because really what it speaks to is that you have within you power and you have the ability to do great things. You have the ability to heal your life. So knowing that, most of the world doesn't live, with this kind of confidence, with this kind of self-love. And what this class is always reminding you of is the power you have to use. So I wanted to start tonight. I don't usually go to the Science of Mind textbook for this class, but I wanted to start out with affirmative prayer, or what we used to call treatment. The author, who is Dr. Holmes, wrote, "This process is the art, the act, and the science of consciously inducing thought." Okay, so we're using our thoughts. Our thoughts are powerful. We're inducing our thought within the universal subjectivity. Okay, so we're bringing them into our consciousness for the purpose of demonstrating that we are surrounded by this creative medium, which is responding to us always through a law of what he called correspondence. So again, simply, it's the art, it's the act, and the science of consciously, you want to think new thoughts, better thoughts, inducing thoughts within the universal subjectivity for the purpose of then demonstrating that we're surrounded by this mind. We're surrounded by a creative medium which responds to us through a law of correspondence. You've heard it said before, the law of cause and effect. Thoughts are things. Louise Hay said it's all very simple. What you give out and what you think comes about. So, we endlessly talk to people about the importance of being the guardian at the gate. And what she was talking about, or I'm talking about, is, you can ruminate and think the same kind of thoughts you've been thinking all your life, and many of them have been passed on to you by your father, your mother, your grandparents. Or you can start to, pay attention to what you're thinking and become the guardian at the gate. So as we learn how to do this prayer process, which I'll go over with you tonight because people have been asking me for it for some number of weeks, it's important to understand, A, you have the power. There is power within you greater than you know, and you are using it. So what we do every Sunday and every Thursday is we help remind you that you have power to use, power at your disposal. So in the glossary, Dr. Holmes goes on, he says, in its more simple meaning, this affirmative prayer is the time, the process, and the method necessary for the changing of your thought. So what's he saying again? it's the time, it's the art, and the method necessary for the changing of your thought. I want to clear up a couple ideas. I might say in a treatment, tonight, I may say something quickly, and it might sound nice, but it's not necessarily done unless I've had a shift in consciousness, an inner movement, and an acceptance of what I've said as being true. So again, it's the time, it's the art, it's the method necessary for the changing of, my thought. And I say that for all of you because you do not have to use affirmative prayer. This is just a method. It's a really good method. Affirmative prayer is wonderful because in the process, you say the words and you commune, and I'll teach you the steps. If you find in the process that you're not believing your own words, then it's time to stop. It's time to stop right there because this whole process is you're going to start out by recognizing that you're one with Spirit. And, that might take you a few minutes, and you let yourself get filled up by that. And you're going to make a declaration about something. And it might be that I'm healthy and I'm whole and complete. And that's a truth. But as you do that, if you say I'm healthy, and there's a pattern of health operating in me now, and I'm whole and complete, if something comes back and within you that says, oh, Greg, no, you're not. You just, you've got this and you've got that melody and that melody. What happens then, it's that unbelief, it's a place where you're kind of striking gold. You're hitting at a place where you yourself don't even believe your own words. So when in the glossary, he's saying it's the time, it's the art, the method necessary for the change in your thought. What you're doing in this powerful prayer process is you're uncovering the parts and the places in your own self where you are stuck or where you don't believe. And so that's where you can begin to do your work. You can release, say if you don't believe you're healthy, in that moment you can, in your prayer process, you can say, and I release the need to think that this is impossible. I release the need to think that this is incurable. I know nothing is impossible. I know that there's a divine pattern within me operating through me. So you work with that inner conversation that you're having. Treatment, affirmative prayer, is the clearing the thought of negation. Now that's an older way of saying it, but I'll say it a different way. This affirmative prayer is clearing your thoughts of negativity. It's just working on wherever you come up with the negativity or the critical thinking. It's working on clearing that stuff away where you're being critical and judgmental and where you're clearing away doubt and fear. And in the process, you're causing yourself to perceive the ever-present reality of Source. Really important. You clear away the unbelief, you clear away the stories that you have of what's wrong and what's missing, and you, in the process, you're clearing away doubt and fear and worry, and you're causing yourself to understand and perceive the ever-presence of Source, of God, Spirit, whatever you want to call it. So that's essentially what it is. I had a friend, a minister years ago, who was a great teacher, and she and I had gone to conferences, and we've seen these amazing healings with people who've had every kind of incurable thing you can imagine. And, we'd hear the testimonials of the healing, and I used to work with people with AIDS a lot when I was younger, who were working with Louise Hay's material. And the healings that I personally witnessed, are just, you can't describe them. The doctors can't explain them. So, there is power available to transform your life, to bring you health and prosperity and every good thing. As Dr. Holmes said, there's power for good in the universe greater than you, of which you're a part, and you can use it. So I invite everybody to check out affirmative prayer. For those of you who have been living the teaching for 20, 30, 40 years, you may not necessarily need to do it in the same way because over time, your consciousness, you shape your consciousness. If you've been the guardian at the gate of your consciousness, for a few decades, For you, it might be a little bit simpler. For you, it might be just a daily meditation and prayer. But for many of us, this prayer process is extremely beneficial because it's a fact that what you think about comes about. What you're preoccupied and what you believe in, what you're passionate about, shows up in your life. Every thought you're thinking is creative. So I thought I'd introduce the process for you this evening and the steps. Once again, somebody else has defined an affirmative prayer is an affirmative statement of spiritual truth, scientifically formulated to neutralize any negative thought patterns and to establish a new realization of spiritual truth. Affirmative prayer is the technique used to change our thought, to change our world, and to reveal the good which is already ours. If I see if I can have the steps here for you. I can talk about the first step while I'm looking. The first step of affirmative prayer is recognition. So in the step of recognition, I suggest for people to go into a place of quiet contemplation. And what you're recognizing is the idea of oneness. So what does the idea of oneness suggest? That there's one energy, one power, one love in the universe. So you contemplate that idea, this unitary field that Deepak Chopra talks about, this oneness. And that ought to stir something up within anybody. If you contemplate God is, the idea, the first step of treatment is Spirit is, and Spirit is in everything and everyone. And then it leads you into the second step of treatment, which is the unification step. And that idea is, okay, so we start out by knowing God is the presence, the power, it's in everything. Anywhere you can imagine there is this spirit, this energy. And the second step is you wake up to the realization is that energy and that power is always in me and operating through me. So you're building up your consciousness. I used to talk to Reverend Theodora, and she said, well, all the activities in the first step. And I said, yeah, I know. It's kind of like, if you can contemplate and realize in that first step that there is this love, this intelligence, it's everywhere present, and you can feel that and sense that and know it. I mean, that's really developing the mystic's mind. A mystic is a person who can see the good in God in everything and all the time. He or she is not caught up in blaming people or focused about other people, because he or she understands that people are doing the best that they can with the information, the understanding, the awareness they have. So that first step of treatment is where all the action is. It's where all the power is. It's where you're really building yourself up to see the God, the good in everything all the time. There's not a lot of people live that way, but that's really what the metaphysical approach to life is seeing the perfection in life. So when people come into a Science of Mind Center, we don't necessarily throw all of that at anybody. We just start to say, your thoughts are things. Change your thinking, as Louise Hay said, and then you'll change your life. Eventually, though, if you keep on working with affirmations and denial affirmations, you're building up your consciousness and you're learning to see the God and the good in everything. You're going to understand that every encounter you have is a holy encounter, because you live, you move, and you have your being in this divine substance. You're part of it. You are an individualization of it. And so as you start to realize, oh my God, this spirit, this God is in me, operating through me, and you're waking up to the fact that you're living in a spiritual world, and everyone that you encounter is also a spiritual being. So again, the first step of affirmative prayer is that recognition that God is. This higher power is, and it's in everyone, and it's in everyone all the time. And that's quite a realization to come from that place. It usually silences you quite a bit, because You stop complaining about people, places, and things because you start to realize that this power, this God, is in everybody. So it silences me. What do I want to say about this guy over here who I thought was a scoundrel or whatever? Basically, I come to the conclusion, whoever he or she is, they're a spiritual being and they're doing the best they can. We understand here that we're in the perfect place, the perfect time, and all the time. Think about that for a while. You're in the perfect place, perfect time, and all the time. And everything you've done and everywhere you've been and all that you've learned and all the mistakes you have made have brought you up to the place where you are right now. And where you are is an amazing place. So I finally have my notes. Recognition is where we acknowledge that there is only one power, one source, one energy. This power, this source, some might prefer to call it God or whatever else. We recognize that this power is present within us and it's all around us. So as Reverend Theodore and I used to comment, well, all the activity and everything is in that first step. Some people used to tell me, if you really get the first step, you don't have to pay attention to the rest, because if you're really understanding that God is in everything, the all in all, then you kind of lay down your arms and you realize, oh my goodness, I need to love myself the way I am. I'm a spiritual being. I've done the best I can. I need to love others. I need to, lay down the swords and realize I could see peace instead of this. We get caught up in the rat race, and you get caught up in all the news and everything that's going on. You think the world is going to hell, and you get caught up in it. And what we need to be about is kind of like the same message Jesus was giving his mother 2,000 years ago. We need to be about Spirit's business. We need to be about what they used to say, the Father's business, which is we need to be taking the higher road. We need to be the lifters. We need to be seeing the good in people. We need to really focus, as Louise would speak about, on loving ourselves more and more. Typically, what goes on within us, we tend to project outside of us. When we're really, really loving ourselves and honoring ourselves and calming ourselves down and meditating and realizing that we're spiritual beings and we're here for great things, and we're developing a bigger vision, then we don't have the time then for the small stuff. We don't have time to be critical. We don't have time for the pain, and we don't have the time for the blaming other people. It's pointless. Blaming ourselves just digs us into the same old patterns, and wherever we're finding ourselves judging other people or holding resentments, it hurts us more than it hurts anyone else. So we recognize in the first step of affirmative prayer that we have power. We are powerful people. Ernest Holmes says we have power available to use. And the thing is, you are using your power. The question is how well are you using your power? If you are caught up in a bunch of resentments, angers, blame, it's a misuse of one of the greatest gifts that you have. You have the power to see beauty, to know wisdom, to know goodness, and to extend love. And those are your natural gifts. When we get knocked off course and we're caught up in, ain't it awful, poor me, somebody's done me wrong, everything's unfair, and all of that type of thinking will take you places that will only bring you lessons, is all I can say. I've been down the wrong road, and wherever I've done it, in the end, there's a great lesson. I remember when I was younger saying, I don't need to learn every one of these painful lessons. In other words, I can learn from other people. Another thing I can do is I can start practicing some of these ideas. As you lift your consciousness up and you really start to love yourself, you're going to find it unnecessary to be belittling yourself, criticizing yourself for anything. You're going to take hold of the conversation you're having with the most important person in the world, which is yourself. You're going to get a handle on it. You're going to say, I'm never going to criticize myself anymore. I'm going to release the need to criticize myself. And I'm going to be more mindful of that conversation. I'd say weekly on Thursday. You know, the conversation you're having with yourself is the most important conversation in the world. And so be mindful of it. It's creative. And whenever you find yourself going low, meaning critical and witchy and, you know, complaining and talking about other people, remember it's a mistake. It's not going to take you where you want to go. I used to be fascinated some 20 years ago. Someone gave me a little gift of the three monkeys, and you all know what they are. They're three little images. They hear no evil, they speak no evil, and they see no evil. Well, that's a pretty good definition of what metaphysicians do. They're not looking at the problem, they're not seeing the problem, and they don't want to be hearing about the problem. They're focused on seeing the good, the God. They're focused on seeing the truth. They're focused on the greater reality of life. As you learn to cultivate this type of practice, this kind of spiritual awareness, you can't lose. That was Reverend Ike's famous quote. You can't lose with the stuff we use. So affirmative prayer is really wonderful. I don't talk about it much, but I get people wanting to hear more about it. And I could take each one of these steps and take a whole hour. I'm just reviewing them tonight. The first thing to know is just with that first step. We call it the first step. It's recognition. It's where you in your own way connect with the idea that there is one power, one spirit, source, energy. It doesn't matter if you're in Pakistan or if you're in Hawaii or you're in Alaska or you're, you know, in the Middle East or any place you can imagine. There's only one power in every single person, one source. We all have it. We're all, you know, part of this one power. It doesn't play any favorites over one group over another. So there's a power and there's a presence, and that presence is in us, operating through us. You can call it whatever you want to call it. The universe, divine source, God, love, whatever it is, and it's responding to you. So the thing that's kind of astounding is to wake up and realize, my God, there is this thing, and I'm alive and I am awake in it. That in and of itself is astonishing. And then we recognize that not only is it in me, it's in everybody. And so, you know, comes the message to love everybody. Your brother, your sister, your enemy, because every last person is evolving just like you are and doing the best that they can. The next step in treatment is unification. So what do you suggest that word unification means? In a prayer process, it's trying to tell you, traditionally, many religions have taught that this power is somewhere else, right? It's like above, it's beyond, it's elsewhere. The unification step is, in this step, we connect the idea of this power that, you know, it's not God above, it's God here. In this step, we connect with this inner source, this inner power, and we affirm that we are one with it. We recognize that we are not separate from this power, but rather each of us, every last one of us, are expressions of this power. And we can use this power. We are individualizations of this power, and it responds to us. It's what it does. It has to respond to us. Therein, that's another reason. It's really important to have our thinking be on high, because we have this power that acts. And if our thinking is low, and if we're caught up in a lot of negativity, and we believe in the negativity, we're shaping our consciousness is going into our world, and then we're going to experience the result of the negativity. So we want to be the guardians at the gate, and this prayer process will help you be so. The next step in the affirmative prayer process is after you've contemplated and after you've connected with Source, and after you've been informed by Source, and you've communed with it for a moment or two or longer, because remember the time, the art, the method. If you take two minutes, 2 seconds, or if it takes you 20 minutes, after you've communed with the Source and you unified and you realize it's within you, you're going to make a declaration. In this step, you're going to declare what you know and what you desire. You might desire to become more prosperous. You might desire to be living in a better living circumstance. You might be desiring and wanting greater health. So in the declaration step, you're going to declare what it is you want and what you desire. And you're going to affirm the good that is there already in your life and operating through you. And you're going to declare that you already have this. The declaration usually, I start to think of the attributes of what we think the higher power has. And what I was taught over the years are ideas like peace, power, love, joy, beauty, wisdom. So I'm going to declare abundance, and I'm going to declare health, and I'm going to declare peace, and I'm going to declare that I'm supplied and supported. And I'm going to do it with a feeling and with a passion, and I'm going to do it with a knowing. And the next step is thanksgiving. So in this step, I'm going to be, after I've made my declaration that I'm supplied and I'm supported, and that I have what I need, and I'm healthy, and the universe is opening up for me, I'm gonna say thank you. In this step, I'm going to express gratitude for the good that I have and what I'm affirming, and I'm going to give thanks for the manifestation, for the demonstration, even before it's physically appeared in my life. There's one interruption I want to make in this process. Now, let me finish it first. So after you've done this, and assuming you've connected with it and you energetically feel it's true, then you can go to releasing this perfect idea into the universe, into what we call the mind of God, and knowing, trusting that it's already done. And we're going to let go of any attachment to the outcome. And we have faith that the universe will bring us what we have affirmed or something better. So these steps can be adopted to fit any personal beliefs and practices. We don't have any dogma to teach you here. We never have, we never will. We're just talking about a process that you might want to start using to deepen your spiritual practice. And I really think it can help you. It can help most people quite a bit. What I was going to say in the middle of the prayer process was, if you're making a declaration, let's say that you're supplied and supported and that you have health right now, if something comes up within you, it's like spirit or something's coming up that says, no, you don't, Greg, you're not this, you're not that. That's really wonderful when that happens. It's as though you have just struck gold, because you've found something, a place within you where you're stuck. So, then you'll work with that. You'll release the need to have this negative experience, and if it keeps coming back, it's an indication of where you need to do your spiritual work. Remember when I was describing from the glossary, it's the time, the art, the method of ridding that negativity, so you can then have these demonstrations, so you can see and sense the perfection that's all around you. So these steps can be adapted and worked with. You can do the 5 steps. You can work in affirmations and denials, if something comes up. So I wanted to introduce it tonight in case any of you had any questions. We can do a fuller class on that in the future. It's important, in our class to understand that whatever we have in our life, we have contributed to it, because all of our life is a reflection of our thinking and our thoughts. We have power for good. We can use it. We can create any kind of life we want. We can heal our lives. So it's important to know that all the power there is available to us for our use. I'm going to now move into a little bit of Louise Hay's book, and then I'm going to turn the call over to you. Louise Hay, once again, was a student of this church, this center. She was taught by Reverend Barker, and I think possibly Reverend Grayson. So she said, you can heal your life. You can do anything. The universe answers all prayers in that sense. And she says the point of power for everyone is in the present moment. So I asked the audience tonight, if you think about the affirmative prayers that we talk about, know that you have unlimited power. What is it within you that you would like to let go of? What is it that you would like to heal? Since you realize that all power is yours, how would you want to engage this power? Another thought that Louise Hay often advanced is, she said, whatever is troubling you, it's only a thought you're having, and a thought can be changed. So what thoughts are you harboring that are causing you trouble? Is there anybody that you're annoyed with and you keep on being bothered by? Is there some way you can approach that person in a different way? Louise Hay had cancer twice. She might have even had it 3 times. I can't remember. But she had surgery twice, and she realized that I have to release the pattern in me, she said. Because otherwise, she said, I'm going to attract cancer again. She kept on saying, when we really begin to love ourselves and hold everybody harmless, let them off the hook, let yourself off the hook, everything in our life starts to improve. We must release the past, even the recent past. It could have been this morning. You might have been in a thing, or this week. We must release the past and forgive everyone. So this is the work we do. We do our work in mind. We do our work in consciousness. We learn to love ourselves the way we are. She oftentimes said, as an affirmation for all of us to use, she would say, I love, accept, and approve of myself exactly as I am. And see, people go right away to where they've missed the boat, where they've sinned, and in their mind, sin. Sin means where you've missed the mark. And, she'll say there's no mistakes. Everything you have done, you've done with the best that you knew at the time, and you're in a new moment. So the challenge always for us is to be in new moments and stop criticizing ourselves. Mid-sentence, if you find yourself being critical, every moment, every single moment is for giving, for bringing the gift of light and love into the moment. So that's our work. We're here in this teaching, as you become more introduced to metaphysics, we're here to really understand that we're spiritual beings, that we're here to extend a hand up to people who are, needing help. We're here to lift, we're here to help, we're here to lift ourselves up, and we're here to lift others up as well. We're only responsible for our own thinking, our own thoughts. We're not here to change anyone. We're always working on ourselves. I got a call yesterday from one of our practitioners, one of our senior practitioners, and she's a teacher to me in some ways, Agatha. Some of you may know her, and she said, good morning, Greg. And I'd say, how are you, Agatha? And she'd say, I'm good, just like you. And, and I said, what are you doing? And she'd say, I'm working on myself. Now, I don't know what, Agatha is a very senior lady, but she's got it right. She's always doing work on herself. And that's what most of us who are involved in this teaching are doing. You're just working on our own consciousness and learning to love ourselves. Love, accept, and approve of ourselves. And as we do, we're finding that we're not seeing the problems in other people, and we're beginning to see the good in all things. We don't take things personally. We understand that people are doing the best that they can. So I would suggest learning affirmative prayer. I don't teach it as much as probably I ought to. I'll do it more if people are interested. All of us have direct access to this source. So, you can change your thinking and change your outer experience without doing affirmative prayer. But affirmative prayer is a very powerful tool. Jane Claypool, who I quoted before, said it's the crown jewel of religious science. She said it's the thing that we do that's different because it's a process. If you keep working with it, you're going to see tangible demonstrations. It's the time, the art, the method. So if you put in the time and you learn to commune with the Spirit and you learn to work with it, you're going to be amazed by the results you'll have. Other than that, I'm going to say again this week, develop a big, fabulous vision for your life and sense it, feel it, know it, and nurture it. And nurture the big ideas, knowing you're whole and you're complete, and you'll start to see them.